Hello, this is Armand from Evil Planet Studios and Nevermore Graphics. Thank you very much for watching. I'm going to give you a brief introduction to what this is going to be. And first of all, I want to thank all 1,000 people who subscribed to my channel. I promised back then that I had like 300 subscribers, 350. I promised that I would do a tutorial, and I never thought this day would come. So forgive me if I stumble upon my words or if I sound weird. It's because I wasn't prepared. I never thought I would get to this point and would have um, to do a thing that I promised. Because back then I had 300 subscribers and just stayed there for just forever, and I just lost hope, and I didn't think I would get to this point where I'm able to record a tutorial for you guys. And this is not a proper tutorial, because here comes the second part of this explanation, introduction, whatever. Is that I worked on a Sirenhead game, and I'm going to tell you all about it in this making of commentary that I prepared for you. Um, what else? So, some introduction about what this is going to be. This is going to be more or less a hangout or something like that. There is a keyboard on the top right corner, and there is a mouse, little mouse thingy on the bottom. What is it? Right? Wait, hold on. Sorry. Okay, yeah. Bottom right corner. So you'll be able to see which keys I press and all that stuff. But I'm not gonna go too much in depth into this whole creating process. But if you are interested, please do leave a message. Do leave a anything and let me know what is up. And if I see enough messages, I will definitely make more in-depth tutorials and whatever. If you want more hangouts, just write that down in the comments down below, and I'll be able to know. If you also leave a like, if I see people like it, I will keep making more content like this. If I don't see people liking my stuff, it just makes no sense to make any more of this. So let's start. By the way, I'm using Blender 2.8. Oh, hey, I'm sorry. Um, I'll stop now. So yeah, it's going to be 2.80 because I tried 2.83, 82, 81, I think too. A3A. It's all. It doesn't run very well with my graphics card. I'm using a GTX 1050, I think. I'm not sure. I didn't check beforehand, and I always forget which one it is. I've gone through several already, so I just don't care as long as it works. So yeah, I don't remember which one it is. I think it is GTX 1050. Um, there is some problems in the with the multi-resolution modifier, and just keeps messing stuff up, and it does so here too. And some renders come out looking really weird. It makes some materials disappear that shouldn't, because they work perfectly in cycles. So they don't work anymore in EV. It just it's just sucky, to be honest. I'm sorry to the developers. I already did the bug report, but yeah, they haven't fixed it. The last one I checked was 2.83, I think. Yeah. So I haven't checked the latest build, but I'm thinking it still has the problem. I think this evening or probably tomorrow, I will download it and check it out. But for now, I'm gonna be using 2.80 or 2.80. Um, so let's go. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the cube that comes with Blender. I deleted the, what is it, left side, and I added a mirror modifier so I can just do symmetry. I decided to extrude all the limbs from that cube and just modeled its basic shape to get the Sirenhead proportions. As you can see, I'm looking at a uh, picture by this guy, the original creator of the of Sirenhead. I forgot his name. I'm very, very, very sorry for that. Actually, since I sped up the whole thing, I can't I can't even read his signature. I'm very sorry to the dude that created Sirenhead that I forgot your name. I am ashamed of myself. I have crappy memory, so yeah. Uh, I really love your work. Um, I've seen other things, other creatures you've worked on. I think his name is Trevor something, but I forgot the whole thing. Oh, this time I did remember the name of the studio that I'm doing this for. It's Undreamed Panic or Isolation Interactive, which is a uh, um, single man. What is it? Solo developer. Amazing developer. I've seen his work before. I loved it, and I saw his work on a Let's Play made by Jackscepticeye. You may have heard of him. He's really, really, really good. I love his Let's Plays, even more so than PewDiePie's. And yeah, I did some voiceover, not voiceover, narration while I was doing this whole thing. Um, and during the first and second, I think, and third videos, while I was doing them, they were like 1 hour long each. But then I just thought, then on the fourth, I forgot to narrate. On the fifth, I was like considering my life choices, and I was like, oh, well, why would I even like narrate this thing? Nobody's going to watch all 1 hour of these things. And then it's just they went on and on and on, and it took me like 12 hours or so. So I decided to, screw it. I'm just gonna do a commentary because otherwise it's just. Anyway, I am blocking this thing out, the body of Sirenhead. I'm doing just the bare minimum polygons. I think each arm and leg are 4 sides, and then I threw a subdivision on top, so I can keep repeating this process over and over until I get the desired polygon density on this creature. But for now, I'm still working with the subdivision modifier on top. So I'm working still with those 4 sides per limb. Right now, those are the speakers. I did some research. Yeah, there you go. Just on cue. I wanted to see what those speakers look like. I was studying the shape and trying to decide what's the Air-Raid Siren that I wanted, which model. There were a bunch, and I've seen those in real life, so that was another reason I wanted to do Sirenhead, because I've seen some of those things. I mean, I've seen a mummy in a museum in real life, so I knew how I wanted to do the skin and the skin texture. Um, I've seen air-raid sirens because there is a back where I used to live. There was a river that used to flood, so there were air-raid sirens there. Um, and I've seen a ton of horror movies and horror props, so this was a perfect project because usually I mess up the character design when I've never seen the thing, or not even character design. When it's like I'm modeling a car and I've never I've never seen a car before, or that particular car before. I'm just like, oh, what is happening? How do I what how does a car looks like? So yeah, I mess up the textures and all that stuff. Oh, by the way, I realized midway that the hands were facing the wrong way, because that was kind of a very unnatural way to stand and unnatural way to have those forearms orientation of the palms and all that stuff. So I decided to rotate post the fact that I had made them. There I'm making the gash that is going to in the future go across the chest. And by the way, uh, there is no texture tutorial for this thing because I've been having issues with Adobe software, and I'm really not happy with their business practices and not owning you have to rent it out, the whole thing. I honestly don't want to support them, so I'm not gonna be making After Effects nor Photoshop tutorials until they get their stuff together. I think now you can't even buy the the software. You used to be able to, because I used to buy them on eBay, the license. Now I have to rent it out, and that honestly, it takes a massive chunk of my monthly expenses. And I'm honestly not happy with how their business model is, so I'm not gonna be supporting Adobe anymore, and I may in the future possibly just start. I'm researching on other softwares. I may do texture tutorials on other software. There I am doing in the character sheet that this guy Trevor did. He has a height of 40 meters. Yeah, 40 meters uh, tall. So what I did was just extrude a cube, make it 40 meters, and then matched that to the no wait, the character to the height of the cube. Didn't make it 40 meters tall exactly, but it's around that ballpark because I didn't I wanted it to be very organic, so I didn't want to use measurements. I also wanted it to be fun, so I didn't use specific measurements for anything there. It was just all fun and games, and just relaxing for me to the to do this whole project. I'm looking at pelvis muscles and pelvis bones to see how this is going to work, because I wanted it to be at least decently anatomically correct. Like loosely based on a human being, but not human. Because in the original concept art, the character does have human features. I think he even has 5 fingers on each hand, or 6. I don't remember, but it's a humany number of appendages on each hand. And yeah, I didn't want to uh, give it 5 fingers, so I give him 3 on each hand and each foot, 3 toes. Um, I give him 3 fingers and 3 toes because that would look a little more disturbing, creepier. I wanted it to be like proper scary. Now I'm working on the spine. I wanted it to stick out because most skinny people, like I'm not sure if it's gonna show up there because I had to. Yeah, it's gonna show up. Yeah, I had to look at a lot of starved people backs so I can get more ideas on how those that part of the anatomy works. It was kind of upsetting to me to see that, to be honest. That's another reason why I wanted to just fast forward through this whole thing because some of the some of the things I had to look at to get the anatomy right were kind of upsetting to me, and I am guessing it's gonna be upsetting to some other people, but luckily you won't have to look at that stuff for too long because it just flies through. Now I'm looking at feet because I wanted to get right those tendons that you see on the top of the foot. I didn't get the sole very detailed because you're not gonna see it anyway. Even if Sirenhead stomps you, it's just not gonna pay attention to the sole. Now I'm adding the ribs, which I noticed on several of the starved people pictures I saw. So I decided to give them sticking out ribs. I decided for the nails to be real geometry. So there we are, doing the geometry for the nails. And yeah, I spent a long time there. Now I am realizing I'm giving him also those knuckles sticking out as well, because mine are. I have bony hands, so I was just looking at my hand in front of my in front of my face, and if it sounds like my voice is going out, it's because it is. Not to do with Corona. It just this is, I think, the third or fourth time I record this thing because just I suck at this. I really, really, really suck. Harder than a mosquito. I really do suck at this, but hopefully you'll like it. Now I'm doing the details from the Air-Raid Siren. I wanted to do it minimalistic. Uh, I also did not know what that part was. That little bulb there in the back. I thought it was the electronics. Apparently, it's there is a spinning thing there. There is a kind of a turbine that, which is what makes the that that whining sound. It's made by a what do you call it? A turbine, kind of like those clown whistles, the ones that go. Woo! I used to have one of those and annoy people with it. It was fun. Okay, so I decided to add rivets rather than screws. Why, I don't know. It just seemed right at the time. and it's riveted to the siren, and it's riveted to the pole, which you'll see it's going to be made out of wood. But that one is going to be, well, you'll see in a bit. Right now I'm doing the toenails, because I forgot I did the fingernails, and then I realized, oh crap, it doesn't have toenails. I had to do the toenails, then give it some detail as well. I'm adding creases, which is a apparently just a Blender thing, and as you'll notice, I'm just doing one of the sirens, because I'm just gonna triplicate it in different sizes. That part is going to be the mouth. It's going to be the mouth, and I already had made it. Problem is, that footage got corrupted because there was an electrical storm, and I lost all progress. Not all progress, but the video got corrupted. The progress on the Sirenhead went well. So I'm just recreating it for you guys, just so you can see how it was made. So it started from a section of intersection, from a loop on the intersection of this thing. Now I'm doing the interior of the mouth because I wanted it to be to have an interior. That was yeah. I decided to give it a lot more polygon density on the gums and teeth than um, the speaker. Which this, by the way, correlates to one of an old speaker I made. I bought a one of those cheap speakers, and I thought it would be really cool if the speaker screamed at you, because it makes sound. So make it organic. I always loved organic kind of stuff. There I'm doing the um, what do you call those things? The cables, and I decided to give it a organic cables and electrical cables. I spoke about this with Undreamed Panic guy, the developer, and we decided to settle the how this is going to look, what parts are going to be what kind of textures. We both resonate a lot on the type of textures we're going to use on this character. I forgot what I was talking about. Which, yeah, you're going to keep seeing a lot of this kind of stuff during the course of this making of, because I suck at being a human. Uh, yeah. So my train of thought derailed horribly. I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, there I'm joining some of the organic cables to the character model, because those were going to be like blood supply or some kind of I don't know. I wanted them to be veins, like those speakers are not just mechanical and um, what do you call it, electrical. They are going to be a little bit of organic, because they are joined to a organic looking being. We don't know what Sirenhead is, so it's supernatural, I guess, a fantasy character, but I wanted to ground him more in reality rather than just, oh look, this is a dude with a siren head. And this is a thing you encounter whenever you're doing something that looks somewhat realistic. You'll also notice that the pole, the wood pole, the speakers are hanging from. It's very organic as well. I didn't bother giving it like very chiseled look. So yeah, I wanted it to be organic but still somewhat realistic, because as soon as you give it a realistic texture, if you gave it cartoon proportions or cartoon features, it starts to fall. The whole thing starts to fall apart and doesn't look real anymore. It just looks weird. At least to me, it bothers me a lot when you have like a comic character and it looks exactly like in the comic with spandex and all that stuff. It just looks goofy in real life. It looks really cool on paper and as a cartoon, but as soon as you go real, it just looks incredibly weird. At least to me. At least to me. And this is my rendition of Sirenhead. So I really hope you guys like it. But yeah, I tried to do it the best I could and give it um, what do you call it? Like make the original justice, because I did try to keep the proportions. I did made the arms, I think, shorter so he could because if they were way too long, the locomotion is going to be kind of difficult in tight spaces. And if he's surrounded by woods and all that stuff, if he has to kneel down or stand up or just do anything to grab the character, that would be kind of a little bit difficult with longer arms. So I decided to give it slightly shorter arms. Now I'm starting to unwrap the whole thing, and this is the part I hate the most. I just hate to unwrap stuff, but it's very important to do the textures. It's the thing with the stuff. Now I'm using a UV grid so I can see the pixel density on the model. And you'll see that some parts have more pixel density than others, because even if you add a lot of detail there, it's just not gonna be so noticeable. And most of the detail is just small wrinkles and all that stuff. So you won't be able to notice those, but you'll be able to notice, like for example, the detail on the mouth, well, the gums, teeth, etc. So I decided to give it most of the pixel density and the head area. I think some of the chest area. The the arms are kind of just very simple. Hold on, I'm gonna have some tea. English breakfast. That's my favorite. I love it, and I added some ginger because it strengthens your what do you call that thing? Uh, Immune system. Yeah. Because I don't want to get sick with this whole thing that I'm not gonna say because people, not people, YouTube is going to penalize me somehow. Like you can't even talk about some stuff nowadays. So I think I messed up some of the textures, and I had to go back and fix them. Not the textures, um, the UVs. I had to go back and move them around once they were set, because I felt like uh, you're not going to see that part because that's part of the texturing process. But in this particular design, I really wanted to get the UVs right, because this was going to be most of the texture was going to be baked and sculpted on the original model. So um, yeah, I'm starting to add the texture of the skin, the the basic like the skin texture. I don't know what it's called, the pores and all that stuff. For now, this is I'm starting to very simple, and now I'm adding some more detail on the palms and the soles of the feet, the knees, the creases that form, but they're still very, very, very. What do you call this? Just very simple. Now I'm starting to add the real detail on top of that, because first it was just stamped on the digital clay. Now I'm adding the meat and potatoes of the texture, and I wanted to do the texture for this one because I didn't think I could add this level of detail on just via bitmaps in Photoshop and all that stuff. So I'm adding some detail to the pulps, and I wanted them to be like very mummified, very, very, very like deep creases. So you'll see me spend a lot of time there. I think it's most of the time are spent on the hands and the feet, because I really want them to look really detailed for when he grabs you, when you see his feet, because that's the part you're going to be seeing the most, because you're going to walk around his really tall fellow. So those are the parts that you are going to see the most. I wanted them to be the most detailed. Not to say that the rest doesn't have any detail. It does, but the parts that I took most care of were the hands and feet, and obviously the speakers. Um, I did add some detail, some like I'm using the word creases, but I don't know what's the correct word for that. Uh, like wrinkles, I think. Yeah, wrinkles. So I added most wrinkles on the parts that are bent, like the underarms, the groin, the fingers, and all that stuff. And I'm gonna sneeze. Balls. Sorry. I have sneezing Tourette's, by the way, so in case, not just not gonna bother beeping that out, because I don't want to spend too much time on this thing. I want to get back to work. That's what makes me happy. So yeah, I'm doing the wrinkles around the the what do you call those things? The stitches and the underarms, the around the gash. I don't know what it's called. And you'll see me come back to that part once over and over and over and over, because I just can't seem to get it right. I really wanted to make them really detailed and realistic. And now I'm back to the hands, because, yep. I was looking at my own, by the way, to do this part. I was like exaggerating what I already have, because I have messed up hands. Well, some people say they are beautiful. I don't think so. But yeah, I was looking at my own hands and exaggerating where it would be um, bending, and where the most of the wrinkling would be, etc. Now I'm masking the head mast and the cables and all that stuff, 'cause I wanted to add a lot more detail around that the gush part. And we'll keep seeing this kind of jumps because I forget to press play, and now we're seeing the problems with 2.80. Like this artifacts are keep being added by Google. Yes, Google. No, Blender. Blender keeps adding this artifact, and in fact, at the end, when I'm done with it, and I'm already working on the uh, um, I'm already working on the texture. I realized, oh crap, there is still those artifacts. I thought I got rid of most of them. Nope, they're still there. I'm trying to like mask the artifacts, like trying to make it part of the creases and the wrinkles that form around the cuticle. I mean, all things considered, still looks good. I decided to make a few of the nails chipped, and this is one thing I do a lot on my models. Teeth, horns, nails. I always give them this streaks. I don't know what to call them. See, they just keep coming back. Those things. That is actually based on a scar that I have that I sliced my finger while doing this. What do you call that thing? Um, I was cutting leather, and I sliced my finger on the top on top of the finger, and I left a mark there. For that part, I decided to base it on different types of skins, mostly elephant and other animals. Because at this point, it's no longer human. It started with human features, and then I decided to add it some um other things like the gashes and the things and wrinkled skin. I wanted the shoulder blades to pull to pull the skin like it's very like it's stretched over there. Some of those you won't see the how they were done because I forgot to press record. So that part I wasn't very happy about. I really, 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 really wasn't happy about that part because it was supposed to be like stretched skin, but it just looks like concentric. What do you call it? Not circles. Parabolas, I think it would be the word. Here's more of those wrinkles around the feet. Those are not based on mine, nor any I've seen. Because I couldn't find mummified feet. So I decided to just improvise and do it the way I think it would look like. Because there's a bone there, maybe it's pulling skin. I decided to make cracked skin, like between, make a, what would you call it? A hybrid. Hybrid between cracked and wrinkled. Because it's mummified. The character sheet said so, so it says it's between rusty and mummified, so I try to convey that. This is a completed version. As you can see, it's not sped up anymore because I'm gonna show you in real time where everything is and what everything is as a quick summary. So you won't be able to see the cables, the electrical cables that go from the speakers to the body, right? But yeah, there are some regrets, but like that crappy tattoo. Yeah, there are some regrets I have about this project. Like some parts I didn't get quite just right, because I'm not an amazing character modeler or designer or whatever. I'm not like the best one there is, but I really did try. I added a bunch of details, as you can see. And one of the regrets was that the arms and the legs don't have enough polygon density. Let me show you. God, and everything is so slow. I wish I could afford a better, what do you call this thing? Um, GPU. Yeah. I wish I could afford a better GPU because that caps a lot the time I can spend on these things because I don't want to spend like 1 month on just that one model. I want to practice different things and different models and learn new things. And if I just I'm stuck with this one model, yeah, sure, I'll be able to do one really good single model, but just so annoying to have things like you move a thing and then it takes like 5 minutes to react, the computer I mean, or have a bake or a render and it just takes forever to do anything at all. So yeah, I don't like waiting. So yeah, I decided to just plus when you do the strokes like here for example, when you're doing the strokes and the model is way too polygon heavy, it starts to lag. And let's say you want to make a curve there, like add some curve, like for example here on the groin, this wrinkles are slightly curved. You try to do a curve and it just makes two right lines because it just doesn't register that movement because it's lagging so hard behind. So I was going to add a bunch of cables underneath the skin, but in the end I decided to add them as textures because it just looks like ass. There's not enough polygon density here, and that means, um, yeah, on the multi-resolution modifier, just and yes, I could have added more polygons here on the base mesh, and then add the polygon multi-resolution modifier on top of that. But if I had done that, well, now there is a problem that it won't match what's going to be used in the game. And I wanted to bake from multi-resolution because that would be easier. Because sometimes the multi-resolution and the what do you call this thing? Multi-resolution and the base mesh doesn't match very well. The high res and low res mesh don't match very well, so you have to do a lot of fiddling, and I didn't want to do that. So my my response, let's say, no, that's not the word. my approach to this problem was to just model everything on multi-resolution and then just use Blender to um, bake on the basic mesh. That's what I did. It also just saved me a lot of time during texturing. I decided to add some veins, which you can see here and here, but yeah, they do look a little bit awful. Fortunately, the mesh was going to be used in, which is another reason I didn't want to overcomplicate things. The developer told me I'm gonna use a 2K mesh, 20,048 pixels. So I said, well, I'm going to go through hell if I make a very polygon heavy mesh. Just because everything is gonna be lagging and it's gonna take forever to bake or render and whatever. So I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to go ahead and do the thing like this, and it was way faster, way more painless, and I actually enjoyed the process. I mean, yeah, I added some detail on the skin, like this lines. Some too look like a little bit like veins. Some of them looks like the skin sagged and then was pulled back, like he was decomposing. And I added a bunch of such details and areas, and on the areas where the skin is supposed to be stretched out. Although I am going to be honest with you and say that I am not an expert in mommy anatomy, so I really didn't want to look at uh, messed up pictures. I was going to say another word. So yeah, I added a bunch of um, wrinkles and all that stuff based on animals and living tissue and other stuff because I didn't want to expose myself to a lot of messed up stuff. Honestly, I don't need that right now. So most of this, I got the things I got right is because I knew what I was doing. The things I got wrong, like for example, this area right here, I'm not very happy with it. It looks good. I mean, it looks decent in the final model, but I'm not super happy on how it turned out on the high res mesh. Here's the feet. I decided to add veins here too, which you shouldn't be theoretically. You shouldn't be able to see them because he's supposed to be mummified, and those are the first thing that I think should, go away because there's no blood to keep uh, the veins inflated. I suppose I don't know. I don't know how these things work because I didn't pay a lot of attention to the mummies I saw in the museum. If you hear sucking, that's my coffee. I'm slurping it. Sorry, not sucking, slurping. I did ended up adding some detail to the bottom of the feet, the soles, and I did fix those artifacts that Blender was making. But you'll still will be able to see some of them. Like, let's go all the way up to the. Uh, I was gonna say headphones. So to the speakers, the sirens, whatever you want to call them. I'm not sure if you. Ooh, that's so weird. Turns out it only shows up in the freaking bake. Because I had to in Photoshop, I had to uh, erase it by hand and just get rid of those lines that the multi-resolution modifier made. Some of those are my fault. I'm not trying to divert guilt from, like, for example, this. I should have added more holding edges. I was just being conservative with the uh, amount of polygons and where I put them. So I wanted to keep the polygon budget at a very minimum, and so some of these are my fault. Maybe a little bit of a poor edge management. Yes, why not? I mean, these are. I'm usually relatively good with edge management, but this one's in particular, I was a little bit careless, especially in the mouth area. The rest is, I mean, um, don't want to seem immodest, but pretty decent. Not the best, like professionals, or at least people who I consider professionals rather than me, do it way better than I do it. But that said, it's not as bad. Let's just say that. I decided to add this thing to the mouth. It was a last minute addition. A bunch of dents, which I did not mention in previously. I added a bunch of dents because he's supposed to bash his head against things because he's desperate to get food. Oh, he needs to feed. And I don't know if he's starving, but I mean, he looks starved. But yeah, I decided um, to show how ravenous he is, how angry, and how animalistic his instincts are, that he is even capable of messing himself up just to get that one meal. So I added a bunch of bottle damage, let's say. I decided to also keep the speakers to a bare minimum, even though I did add some, again, same thing with the low density polygons. Just it wasn't going to show up in the 2K mesh, so I said, oh, screw it, let's just go this route. I ended up doing 4K textures, and you can see a little bit of those artifacts, or not artifacts, what would you call them? Like, you could see some of the polygons sticking out, but overall, you can't tell in the final texture, which ended up being 4K, and I delivered to the developer in 4K, and he just I don't know if he ended up. I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing he just shrunk it back to 2K. As you can see, the veiny things, protrusions. I don't know what to call them. Um, that feed blood supply and all that stuff to the speakers. There's three of them, and there's also three of the 1, 2, 3 um, cables that go back to the. And like I said, these here I was going to add guts. I decided to last minute to add um, cables on the inside and the texture face. I think one of these I decided it was gonna be just sagging skin. I decided to add some, I think this one, some cables there as well. The skin is not only wrinkled and crinkled, but it's also very dry. So that is the reason for the deep and cracky looking um, what do you call those things? Creases, I don't know. So yeah, overall, this is, oh yeah, the hand detail. There's some fingerprinty kind of thing going on. The, I don't know what this types of wrinkles are called. As you can see, also veins on the top of the hand. It's based on mine, so I have them too. That way, it's so easy um, to to model bony guys, because I'm bony. Not this bony, but at least my hands are. So that was super easy for me. Anyway, I will show you next how the final version looks like. And here's the character. Uh, I rigged it. Yes, I did. But by no means this is an amazing rig. It's very multi-purpose. It's super multi-purpose. And I didn't know what the Undreamed Panic guy was going to use it for, or how he's going to use it for. Because first, I didn't want any spoilers. I also didn't want to spoil the game to you guys, so you can watch it and say, "Oh my god, I didn't see that coming." And yeah, pretty much, I tried to avoid hearing. He did tell me a few things, but I mean, it was super general purpose stuff. I didn't get many of the spoilers, so I didn't know how specifically. I didn't know a few things, but I didn't know a lot of things. So this rig is super multi-purpose. I'm sure he improved it a lot because I've seen his work. He seems to know better rigging than I do, and from his animations, I can tell you that he's way better animator than I am. So I'm going to hide the rig because I am ashamed of of the of well, it's not that bad. I mean, let's see, post mode, and it's I didn't use Pitchipoy or any of those. So we have poll targets. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. There's Master Bone. The heads move slightly, the mouth's open. The tongue isn't rigged, but I'm not sure you're even gonna see that because the game is pretty dark. And let's just get to the chopper and let's see. So first of all, here's the low poly, the final low poly. As you can see, there is very low polygon density on the arms and legs, which that's on purpose. I mean, this part doesn't animate too much, so no need to add like a ton of edge loops there. So I said, just screw it. Let's keep it at a bare minimum, and it's already how much? 14,000. I mean, it's at a good level, but uh, I wanted I wanted it to be very, very, very optimized for action. And if I can do decent enough textures, it theoretically doesn't need that much geometry. Because for me, that would be useless geometry. So back to the texture. So yeah, As you can see, this ones that were missing in the model, um, those are the electrical cables, and here we have the non-electrical cables. What do you call them? The organic cables. Yes, that's it. The organic cables. The mouths, the gums, I mean, are slightly dried, so that's why they are not as glossy. The uh, steel is a little bit too rusty and old, so I decided to give it a little bit of um, scratches. There is some wood as well, which I decided to go for only what do you call it? Um, to go on the in texture mode. There was no need to sculpt it. This one I did want to be geometry, so it gets to be perfectly baked. Same with these veins. I did enhance in texture mode, but yeah, I think I think it went well. There's some gashy areas. I didn't give it way too much detail because you're not gonna be able to see it anyway, so why waste time? Some nice rope. I also didn't know if I should add some kind of like how is it attached the the rope, where is it tied. That's the sort of thing that keeps me up at night. As you can see, we have some cables in there, some zip ties. Some of them are tied up. Some of them represent veins. Originally, I was gonna make it more rust-ish, with a more reddish, like an Egyptian mummy, very reddish kind of skin. In the end, I personally decided to make it gray and then make the rust pop out, as if he was sweating rust, right? And some of that rust comes from the speakers, but I wanted it to be more like his sweating rust, like it's part of his bodily functions. Some majestic siren bot. The knees. The knees are actually based on my knuckles, the finger knuckles. I I wanted to make them more like actual knees, but I decided, you know what, screw it. Let's just make them like they are knuckles, so they look rougher and more, you know, the stretched skin there. Nails are a bit, um, what do you call it? Dull. I was going to make them a little bit more shinier, but I decided, no, screw it. Let's make them like they have a fine layer of dust on them. And as you can see, there is rust everywhere. It's on every crevice. but selectively. Like there are some crevices that doesn't have them, like the new ones. Oh, they do have it. Well, I remember uh, having some crevices specifically not have the rust. And that's the other skin, the one that I didn't like so much. It's more akin to a uh, what do you call that thing? Egyptian mummy. And as you can see, the skin, it's more. It has more this jaundice kind of texture, not texture, color. I mean, it's fine, but the cables are also blue instead of green, like in the other one. The rust doesn't show through like in the other one. It's a little bit more. Uh, I don't know. I like the gray better, but the last word is really well. Uh, wait. um, the guy from Undreamed Panic, the developer, has the last word. So I gave him both textures. So we'll see what he ends up using. I really wanna see how it ends up looking. Oh, and by the way, there is also the thing. What do you call it? Subsurface scattering. SSS. Yeah. So let's. Jesusio Cristoforo. Okay. So whoops. Okay. So there it is. There's some degree of not very heavy. Fingers, for example, have it more. I think the feet as well. Yeah, there's some. Um, what do you call it? Subsurface scattering. Yeah. Hope you guys liked it. Leave a like and subscribe. I hate to beg for likes and subscriptions. I mean, if you don't want to subscribe, then subscribe. But if you like this kind of content, do leave a like and do write a comment, say something like, hey, I like this stuff. I want to see more making of projects, or I want a tutorial. For now, it's just gonna be 3D because, like I said, I'm not very happy with Adobe, and until they sort their stuff out, I am kind of starting to drift away from their business model and their software. I'm going to be moving to different software. I still haven't decided what's going to be, but yeah, I'm not happy at all. But anyway, enough with the negativity. Thank you very much for watching. I love you guys. I am super happy. There's 1,000 of you now. Thank you very much. I really appreciate those subscribes. And do let me know if you like this stuff. Anyway, have a nice day. Have a nice week. And you guys are awesome.